Coming up next on Arizona Horizon, the impact of a new White House policy that makes it harder for immigrants to get green cards. Also tonight, ASU launches a new war and strategy degree in partnership with the U.S. government. And a new study shows how pickleball could help Parkinson's patients. Those stories and more next on Arizona Horizon.
Arizona Horizon is made possible by contributions from the Friends of Arizona PBS, members of your public television station.
Good evening and welcome to Arizona Horizon. I'm Ted Simons. The Trump administration recently announced a new policy that requires immigrants to be in their native countries before applying for a green card. The rule is part of the Trump administration's efforts to restrict ways for immigrants to legally enter or remain in the U.S. And to learn more, we welcome attorney Delia Salvatierra from the Salvatierra Law Group. Good to see you again. We've got to stop meeting like this. We're having this show way too often, but a lot of immigration issues are coming up. I got to tell you, when I first saw this one, I went, whoa, this is a big deal.
It's a huge deal and of significant importance to American citizens who are trying to secure green cards for their spouses who've entered the country lawfully.
What exactly does this policy call for?
This policy calls for a stricter review and granting of green cards for those who have entered the country lawfully with a visa, worker's visa, and adjust their status inside the United States. The memo, I want to remind our viewers that it's a memo, it's a policy memo, and it does not contravene the word of Congress. And the law in no uncertain terms makes this memo law. When Congress spoke, Congress basically said if you've entered lawfully and you otherwise are eligible for a green card based on your relationship to a United States citizen, you merit an exercise of discretion. Now, discretion is based on a variety of issues, such as whether you've committed a criminal offense, whether immigration violations, whether you've lied on an application. But absent those negative factors, someone who's entered lawfully, married to a United States citizen, is eligible for a green card in the United States.
But it sounds like some of those folks would have to go back to their native countries and consulates there to apply for their green card. I mean, how do you decide who would have to go back? How would it even work?
I think the memo is ultra-virus, and I think that is what the memo and the administration wants people to do, is to leave. And I think that the purpose of this memo is to scare enough people not to apply for a green card, even though they may be eligible under the Immigration Nationality Act enacted by Congress, and leave. Leaving would cause irreparable harm to American families. It would cause consular delays. It would cause to be able to bring back that individual. I think the memo does not supplant Congress's intent. And normally, when you are going to affect new laws and bring new definitions to a body of law that Congress enacted, you have to go through the Administrative Procedures Act, which is you have to publish how you're changing or defining certain terms that Congress enacted. And the administration has simply not done so. So I think it will be attacked in court. I think there will certainly be litigation. I don't think that it changes the law in any way. What I think will happen, there will be a practical effect. And just like you're reading the memo, that it prevents people from applying for a green card inside the United States and that they must adjust from outside, that is not the case. That is not what the memo does. I think it purports to, but legally it does not.
So how far does the memo go? Because I'm hearing some may not be able to return to the U.S. for up to 10 years. Okay. I don't even know what the criteria would be for that. I don't know what the criteria would be for someone who would have to leave in the first place. I'm trying to figure out what this is calling for because, again, this is no small matter.
No. It is calling for every single individual who is eligible for a green card through a family or work-based petition must return to their home countries and wait for their appointment to return to the United States after a consular interview.
Let me read some of the administration's reasoning for this. First of all, they want to move the process back to consulates in the home countries, and they want to help ensure that the process is correctly done. Fewer hiding, fewer remaining after residency denial, these sorts of things. Does all of that make sense? Are all of those things viable arguments?
Of course, they're viable arguments if the position is that you don't want to grant green cards inside the United States. I think what's most important about that rationale is that it ignores the fact that you impose family separation. The whole point of our immigration fabric and our laws, our congressional intent, is to keep families together, especially when they're married to a United States citizen or they have U.S. citizen children. The whole bedrock of American immigration is premised on the family unit. So now you're telling folks that they have to separate, and if they want to return, they have to go abroad. But I think that is a misnomer because that is a policy memo. That is not law,
right.
And that is not what Congress has enacted.
The administration also says that visits to the United States, those aren't meant to initiate a green card process. They're seeing green cards, immigrants' visits on separate planes here, on parallel tracks and these sorts of things. I mean, how far does this go? I mean, you're basically telling me that this is a policy, it's not the law, and it will be attacked in court. It's going to have to be affected if it's attacked in court, does it not? I mean, someone's going to have to be told, go back home to who knows where.
There will be numerous thousands of denials of green cards. Where there's a practical effect is that this memo is meant for adjudicators at USCIS who have to implement this policy memorandum. And it's going to happen on a case-by-case basis. And those officers are going to have to, on a wide scale, say there isn't extraordinary circumstances in which we must grant you your green card. You have the ability to return home. Go home. We're denying the green card inside the United States. People are going to have a denial on their record. Do you think a consular officer abroad is going to contravene what a U.S. immigration officer determined inside the United States? Absolutely not. So I think it creates more havoc than it does anything else.
So what are you hearing from folks, and what are you telling folks about this?
So immediately when the memo came out, I was proactive in the sense of having a Zoom call with all of my clients who have pending green card applications. And social media, family members, heightened sort of the fear that my clients had, and I imagine all across the board. They understood that we're going to provide more additional evidence at their interviews, such as proof that they pay taxes, proof that they're law-abiding, proof that they're members of the community, that they do community service, that they have no criminal records. So we're prepared to supplement and prepare great green card applications, and we'll see what officers will do with that new information. One interesting thing this week is that at USCIS, none of the officers have approved applications on the spot. Usually they do approve them, but they have now since been taking them under advisement and not granting them.
So there's already an effect.
There is certainly an effect. Supervisory review will be required at all of these green card applications.
Delia Savatiera of the Savatiera Law Group, it's always a pleasure having you here. Thanks for helping explain this, because as I've mentioned a number of times, this is pretty big stuff. Thank you so much. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah, so where to start of all the things?
Oh, it's like opening a present.
The team here are just incredible.
This is a cultural movement.
I feel so happy.
There is so much more.
It feels like the revolution has really begun.
The Navajo Nation and some of the other communities we work with are very isolated.
Like if there's an event in Tuba City and you live in Kayenta, that's 100 miles.
Access is so important. I am not aware of any other kind of program like this because it's keeping that artistic access open.
ASU is launching a new master's degree program in war and strategy in partnership with the U.S. government. The degree will be offered to active duty military members and others selected by the U.S. Defense Department. Joining us now is Ryan Shaw. He's ASU's Managing Director of Strategic Initiatives and Senior University Advisor. Good to have you here. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks very much, Ted. Great to be here.
You bet. War and strategy, a master's degree. So what are we talking about here?
This is a program, as you mentioned, sponsored by the Pentagon, and the intent is to educate mid-grade officers from the military services or Defense Department civilians for service at the strategic level. So these would be folks that have performed well at the tactical and operational levels, where we traditionally do perform very well. But Secretary Mattis, Jim Mattis, when he was Secretary of Defense, instituted this program because we traditionally struggle to translate those battlefield victories into long-term strategic foreign policy outcomes. That's the purview of national level strategy. And so this is a one-year master's program that's meant to educate these folks on the history of war and foreign policy with an eye towards, better outcomes in the future.
Are the students people that would go on to leadership positions at West Point, leadership positions in the Defense Department, the State Department? I mean, who are the folks that are going into this program?
So they're all military officers or department civilians, again, mid-grade, and they're identified not just for their performance so far, but for their potential to serve at the strategic level. And the types of billets that they'll go to will be not necessarily command billets right away, but they will be those who are advising senior commanders in the Pentagon, the chairman of the Joint Chiefs of Staff, Chief of Staff of the Army, the Chief of Naval Operations, the combatant commanders that do the operations across the globe, as well as civilian personnel like the Secretary of Defense, military aides in the White House, congressional advisors, that type.
I saw one of the focuses, maybe the focus, is the intricacies of war. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, well, war has been a part of the human condition for as far back as we can tell, historically, archaeologically, and it doesn't appear to be going anywhere anytime soon. We might wish that were otherwise. Of course, as a combat veteran myself, I wish that it were otherwise. But we don't just have to wish, we can work. And I think about this like cancer. We all know cancer is a scourge, and we can all dream of a world without cancer, but dreaming doesn't do us a lot of good. We need to work for a world without cancer, and we don't do that by ignoring the phenomenon of cancer, pretending that it doesn't exist. We do it by studying cancer, understanding what causes it, how it can be avoided, and then, if necessary, how it can be defeated. And that's the same approach that this program takes towards war, which is studying it dead on in all of its depth, breadth, and context over time with an eye towards avoiding it if possible, and then prevailing if necessary.
And it sounds like it includes war games, simulating war as well. Is that included, A? And B, if so, how important is that?
Yes, it is included, and it's very important. So the core elements of the curriculum are 4 core courses that are taught by the same professor, Dan Marston, who delivered it at its prior location. He'll be fully tenured professor at ASU now, so we're pleased to welcome him to the team. 4 courses from across the broader ASU curriculum as electives, so, per the student's choice and interests. And then the 2 remaining elements are a battlefield staff ride, where they go around the world and visit key battlefields, walk the terrain, and talk about the decisions that were made there. And then, as you suggest, a war game experience where they simulate battlefield decisions, not necessarily tactical battlefield decisions, but these long-term strategic decisions about defense investments, industry, major troop movements, that type.
And international relations as well?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, and things like philosophy and political theory, I mean, that's all got to be included, right?
Yeah, that's right. Again, it's not the strictly military task of defeating enemies on a battlefield is something that we're pretty good at. Like, nobody can really beat us in that domain. But in order to achieve those better outcomes, what we say is a better peace, which is more just and more sustainable than the situation before the conflict, which is the only more morally justifiable reason to engage in a war. That requires bringing in, as you say, the political side of diplomacy, foreign policy, economics, religious and cultural understanding, all those, philosophy, as you suggest.
And again, winning the war, but winning the peace, they go together. They've got to go together, and we have a little bit of trouble with that every once in a while.
That has historically not been as great a strength for us as the tactical battlefield victories. That's right.
This will be at ASU's D.C. location, Washington location?
It will, yeah.
Okay, and how many students again now?
So the contract authorizes up to 24. For budget reasons this year, we only have 12. We're hoping to grow that in the coming years.
And this is a year-long is it a year-long master's program? You get get a degree after a year, or does it continue?
No, that's correct. It's a 10-month academic program, so they report in the fall and they graduate in May like our regular students.
How did all of this come about? How did ASU get involved in this?
Well, the program existed prior. It's been running for 7 years at Johns Hopkins University at the School of Advanced International Studies. It's done very well there. It's been very successful. But as with most government contracts, we knew that it would eventually come up for a competition. And so we kept our eye on that. They announced the competition early this year. And so we rapidly put together a proposal. We thought that we could deliver a better outcome than Johns Hopkins could. Of course, they're a very fine school with an excellent reputation. But in open competition, we found out that in April of this year, we were awarded the contract.
Yeah. And so starts this fall, classes start this fall?
Correct.
And if there were someone that you hoped to see enrolling in this program, just in general, who do you want to see?
Well, I want to see someone a lot like me, actually, from a few years ago. So I'm an Army veteran myself. I spent my time in the cavalry as a younger officer, commanded a troop in Iraq, and then after a little academic turn, much like this, I was quickly elevated to the highest level of strategic service. I worked first at a combatant command and then in the Pentagon with a little trip overseas in between. That's quite a jump to make, to go from commanding troops at the lowest tactical level to advising, the president or testifying in front of Congress. And so those are again, they're not our choice because these officers are selected by the Secretary of Defense, but that's the ideal candidate.
Yeah. And so that's quite a journey you've had.
And I'm very pleased to have landed here where I can continue to serve.
Well, congratulations on that, and thank you for everything you've done. This sounds really very interesting, and it's interesting that it's involved with the Pentagon as well. You don't usually see those kinds of things, but we're seeing it right here. Thank you so much for joining us and sharing us on. Best of luck on this.
Thanks so much, Ted. Great to be here.
Well, I think the old expression of walk in somebody's shoes is very apropos. I grew up in the South where I saw signs that said colored for the drinking fountain and the waiting rooms in the train station where it's colored only. I didn't like that. I was in Vero Beach, Florida, and we went to Miami for the weekend, and I saw a sign there that says, for a small hotel, no Jews. I took the sign up and threw it away. I mean, I fought for my country. I felt I was an equal citizen, and everybody who fought for their country should be an equal citizen. And we can make this world a better place if we just try.
New England.
So we got Pennsylvania, Virginia, New York.
That's like, you know how like New York's up there and there's like all those little ones there? It's like those. New Hampshire?
Maryland.
Wait, I'm about to sing a state song. Pennsylvania? Do you know this song? Yeah, you don't know it? No. Right? Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, California, Colorado, Connecticut, Delaware, Florida. Delaware? Georgia, Hawaii, Idaho, Illinois, Indiana.
Maine, Rhode Island.
New Jersey, New Mexico, New York, North Carolina, North Dakota, Ohio. North and South Carolina. Iowa, Kansas, Kentucky, Louisiana, Maryland, Massachusetts, Michigan. Massachusetts.
West Virginia? Does that count?
Wyoming, Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania? Something Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Vermont, Virginia. Vermont? What was it? Yeah? I think we got 13.
She said every state, so you got 13.
I think so.
That was brilliant.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, no.
A new study shows that pickleball can have positive impacts on Parkinson's patients. We talked about the study with Jamie Nesbitt, an assistant professor of physical therapy at Creighton University, and Suzanne O'Neill, an associate professor of physical therapy at Midwestern University of College and Health. Good to have you both here. Thank you so much for joining us. This is fascinating. I think I'm the only old dude in the world who has not played pickleball yet, but I may do. This sounds like it's an interesting study. What got you started on pickleball and Parkinson's?
Yeah, so it's a patient story that got it started. I work with a patient who was diagnosed with Parkinson's. She came to me at the clinic for physical therapy, and she was actually told she had 5 years to live, which we know through physical therapy is not true. Exercise is medicine. There's great medicines out there. So we started working, and she had this great transformation. And when she was done with PT, she wanted to find something that she could keep her exercise up. And she found pickleball. So she came back to me and was like, we need to do a study on this.
Yeah.
And Suzanne and I have been colleagues for a while, and I was like, Suzanne, I need your help to do this study. So that was it. And she was the driver for this study.
And the study looked at what? Motor skills, coordination? What were you looking for?
Everything and anything. So basically, we looked at several specific things like, did it change their balance or their walking or improve their coordination or hand function? But we also included interviews to get just more impact from their perspective. Like, how did it help you personally? Did it help your quality of life? What did you get out of it, basically? So we found some amazing information just through those interviews.
From those, what information did you find?
So, oh my gosh, so much. So not only the things that we expected, so they love the social interaction, the camaraderie, they love the competition. And so many people said that they almost forgot that they had Parkinson's for that moment, which was mind-blowing to me. But also just improved, they felt improved their cognitive skills, their balance, so they loved all aspects of it.
Is pickleball just another form of physical therapy?
It's a form of exercise, right? And exercise is medicine for people with Parkinson's, so it allows reaching, moving, camaraderie, which that social aspect obviously gives dopamine hits.
Yeah. I want to get to the dopamine in a second here, as we get to the mental aspect. But the reaching and the hitting, I would imagine the quicker, the faster, the reflexes that are needed, the body remembers that kind of stuff, doesn't it?
That's right, yeah.
And that makes a difference in terms of, because Parkinson's, and before we get too far again, what is Parkinson's disease?
So Parkinson's disease is a neurologic disorder that affects the body's ability to move. So people with Parkinson's typically get tremors, but also they find it harder to move. Like, they move more slowly, they move with smaller movements. So that's why pickleball is kind of like a great overarching sport, because it basically, like you said, forces them to move big and fast.
And so there was pre-testing and post-testing as far as these folks were concerned. And I mean, did you see improvement? Did you see big improvement?
We saw some improvement. So we started it out as like a feasibility study. Can people with Parkinson's play pickleball? And we found yes, they can. So our sample size was small. We did find some improvements with fine motor and hand, which kind of makes sense, I guess, with holding the paddle. Even like buttoning a shirt, it transformed to that, which is important. If you can't button your shirt anymore and you want to be able to go on a nice dinner or something, you know. We didn't find as much with balance or gait, but we want to do a bigger study with more participants, kind of control it a little better when we're not just looking at feasibility.
And now you mentioned dopamine.
Yes.
And this is a big deal. Talk about how big a deal it is with Parkinson's and what you found through this study.
So because of Parkinson's, you don't have as much dopamine to use, and that causes the symptoms that Suzanne just talked about, as well as a lot of non-motor symptoms, like cognition. Depression is really big. And so while we weren't measuring dopamine specifically, we saw that mood was improved, the socialization was improved, movement was improved, fine motor was improved. And actually, the participants now all play together every week, which has been really cool to see.
Yeah. But the mental aspects, I mean, the socialization, again, is it pickleball? Is it the socialization? Is the dopamine because of pickleball, or is the socialization because of pickleball?
Yeah, I mean, everything. So I think not only does it exercise just automatically increases dopamine, so it makes you feel better, it makes you move better, so that's in and of itself. But also to fight the depression, you know, the socialization, the camaraderie, and I think we all know pickleball is a hot topic, right? It's the hottest sport currently. And so just being able to participate in a sport that and embed yourself in a sport that, like everyone else, I think that also can improve the mental and emotional health as well.
Now, other neurodiseases, could this possibly have an impact on other things out there?
Who knows?
Huh?
Yeah, I actually had a student ask me today about pickleball and stroke. I'm like, I guess that's our next study.
But I mean, is it exercise, or is it this particular kind of exercise?
Exercise. It's exercise. So in general, we would want people to find something they enjoy. It just happens that people enjoy pickleball, right?
Yes.
So, but exercise, any movement is going to help improve any neurologic disorder or help prevent some in the future.
Yeah, and last question on that, and on all of this. This is really interesting information. Is it the exercise because it gets your cardio up, or is it because it gets your mind moving and your body doing all sorts of different things?
Yeah, so exercise, the most important things for people living with Parkinson's is not only to get some cardiovascular effect, but also exercise that forces you to move with bigger, faster movements. And so that's why pickleball is such a nice fit for them. Now, exercise in general is good, but finding an exercise that can incorporate all of that, the cognition, the skill, the big movements, the fast movement, even better.
Well, this is a great study, and congratulations on this.
Thank you.
Classic stuff here and very innovative. And again, pickleball and Parkinson's, and it's good to speak with you. Thanks for sharing your stuff.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
You bet.
Yeah.
And that is it for now. I'm Ted Simons. Thank you so much for joining us. You have a great evening.
Because kids will always be more curious, Arizona PBS delivers programs that serve as a trusted guide for little explorers. Thanks to you and...
You play flutes and